If you want what you never had, you have to do what you never did.
I love that saying.
Rudy Kokx, the man behind Coffee News' success, one of the few remaining paper-based publications in New Zealand.
He's one of the most successful business brokers in Whangarei.
Selling millions of dollars in business brokerage.
Began as a door-to-door salesman, he's now a publishing empire builder.
The publisher of a franchise that's thriving in the digital age.
When I became a door-to-door salesperson, it taught me team building skills, it taught me business, it taught me sales skills, it taught me, tenacity, never give up, being positive, because it's my attitude that's going to sell. It's not the product. It's never about the product. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson in all of that leading up to it was always look for something that is going to help you in the future. If I got a job, it was never about like what the job was. It was always about like what can I learn for my next journey. I think when we bought Coffee News, I literally had $200 in the bank.
No one reads paper. That's the word I hear on the streets.
Not true.
Tell me about the business model. Like, how does it work as a master franchisor? What do you think has really had an amazing change, benefit to the communities? So if someone here, like listening, watching, thinking, I have some money to invest, what is my ROI on going into being a franchisee? So who would suit to have a franchise business like that?
Like, I think really like...
Rudy, you've championed this publication for some time now in New Zealand. What really inspired you to bring Coffee News to our country?
I didn't bring it to the country, but it was a lady called Helen, and Helen has been running it for about 21 years. I think she started at Papakura. I just picked it up. I always known about it, always liked it, and after selling business for 10 years, it seemed like a good fit. Actually, when I bought the little franchise in Whangarei, somebody said to me, "Rudy, you should buy that." When somebody said, "I want to sell," and I'm like, more stuff on my plate. And 20 minutes later, we shook hands, and I said, "Yes, I agree to buy this business." And then the rest was, so I ran it for 6 months, and then I bought a master franchise.
Let's go back a little bit and share a bit about your background. Tell me a bit more. Like, you've come from Holland in 2003 to New Zealand.
Yep. Well, I'm from Ireland, but yeah.
From Ireland?
I'm from Holland, but then I was in Ireland for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then I came
to New Zealand.
Came to New Zealand, yeah.
And since then, you've been a businessman, might I say salesman. You've done so much in your career history to this point. Walk us through a little bit about what you've done to get you to this point.
I think it started early when, if I got a job, it was never about like what the job was. It was always about like what can I learn for my next journey. Mm-hmm. So I was a courier for car parts. It was the easiest job in the world. Loved it because it gave me so much freedom. That's where I got my first taste of freedom, I guess. But it taught me something about cars, which I have absolutely no idea about cars. But it taught me customer service and scheduling and all that kind of carry on. When I became a door-to-door salesperson, it taught me team building skills. It taught me business. It taught me sales skills. It taught me, tenacity, never give up, being positive, because it's my attitude that's going to sell. It's not the product. It's never about the product. And that's, I think, the biggest lesson in all of that leading up to it was always look for something that is going to help you in the future. No matter what it is.
You've successfully established yourself as a business broker in Whangarei, which is a small town in New Zealand up north. And you've also, now you're master franchisor of Coffee News. In case people don't know what Coffee News is, this is Coffee News. It's a retro style, might I say, sepia color, but I think Rudy will interrupt me and say a different color.
Lapwing brown.
Exactly that one. Never heard of that one before. You might have seen it in your takeaway shops.
Anywhere where people are waiting. So it's in waiting rooms. For example, in Whangarei, we are at the Flip Out, which is like a trampoline place, because people drink coffee. Parents are waiting there with their kids. We were in White Cross. We were in
Cafes.
chiropractors, takeaways.
Quite a lot of areas where people have to wait.
Yeah.
And the model of it is that you carry it, you hold it on and you read all the exciting news that's going on. There's horoscope, there's trivia, and also there are advertising of local businesses. And this is where the business model lies. Can you tell me more about why you chose, like, I know you had a conversation in 20 minutes and you thought, no, I'm not going to buy this business, but why did you even what really, got you to this point? Because it's paper. No one reads paper. That's the word I hear on the streets.
Not true.
It's not true.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, debunk this myth for us.
Well, we know that people are reading because we've seen them crumbled up with food on them and everything, and then people put them back. But we hear it from people that, man, I always pick up. Are you coffee news? Are you the coffee news guy? Awesome, man! I always pick it up. I always that takeaway, that cafe. Oh yeah, I've seen you. I see you everywhere, and that's my pride. I can tell you this honestly. Like if you go to Fungaray and you go to 2 different cafes, just random different cafes. In one of them, I promise you, we will have a coffee news stand, and I think that's a pretty good achievement.
Yeah,
yeah. So
it
it's
is.
yeah.
So you started, like the coffee news is what you were talking about. It started in 1988, about 36 years ago, I understand, by someone in Canada, and that was brought into New Zealand. Tell me about the business model. Like, how does it work as a master franchisor, and how do you make this work?
So we look after currently about 23, 24 different editions, we call them, which is like areas. They're all exclusive, so one person per territory. Basically, our franchisees, all they do is sell advertising and do the distribution, or they have someone else to distribute it for them.
Do they have to do all the printing and all the
because the support
information
office
and content?
So support office is doing all that, obviously at a cost price. So there is printing, there is a franchise fee, a weekly franchise fee, and there is the layout. Because we got one lady, Carol, she's with Coffee News. She's been with Coffee News for 20 years. So she knows her stuff when it comes to Coffee News, designing and all that. And she does all the layouts, and then that gets sent to you. You approve it. You get it on your doorstep about like 5 days later, 3 days later, and you just distribute. And that's what I loved about it when I started, was I could now actually, with selling businesses, I could now actually put myself in the middle of the community, building trust, building lasting relationships with all these different business owners, and that's how it works really, really well.
Is that what's attractive for you for this business?
That's what attracted me, yeah. Because, I mean...
Later on, you realize this is attractive, and this is aligns with who you are as a person.
I think currently, like maybe 10 years ago, one edition could pay your mortgage and maybe some food and all that. And we have to realize that that's currently not the case. Everything is gotten more expensive, and we have to be competitive with other media, like other print, for example, newspapers and all, whatever.
And your technology, because the world has changed.
And technology, so even, yes. So some people choose to only go digital. I think digital is actually, comparative to what we are offering, still expensive. We are we targeting what I always do is I target businesses to advertise that are targeting the older generation. Not because I don't think that you are that we don't want to target you as like a younger person, but those are the people with money. Those are the people that are retirees, pensioners. That's where the wealth is in this country. So if you're going to, for example, house washing, when you're going to, for example, a real estate agent, it's a service that makes life easy, because the older people don't climb on their roof and do gutter cleaning. The old people on the roof,
they'll pay someone to do it. They
pay someone to do it, and that's really what I say to my franchisees: target those businesses.
So your target audience is?
No, our target audience is not the older people. It's not the pensioners.
No, but the target businesses are.
The business, the people that I target to advertise in Coffee News are definitely the ones that are targeting the pensioners, because that's where it works well.
Yeah. It has been successful. You have how many franchisees working with you?
24. So we just sold Queenstown and Kapiti Coast.
Yeah.
Last month. That takes us up to 24 franchises.
Has this always been that popular, or has it kind of gone through the phases of
with
like,
COVID?
the challenges?
With COVID, we went down from 25 to there was 22, from 22 back to 12, and it was a time where people didn't want to touch paper because the virus could be on surfaces. And when it was airborne, it was different, and we could go back into the cafes and the hospitals and all that kind of carry on. But for a long time, and that was real challenging for our franchisees. They were real COVID tired, how I call it. They lost stands. The cafes would close, and a stand is like $20. So if for example, if 5 cafes close, all of a sudden there is $100 worth of stands gone. $100 is not an awful lot of money. But if you now have no cash flow and now you have to replace them and put them into other, and you don't have the stands, you've got to buy 5 stands. So everything adds up.
So that would have been a real challenge for you at the time. How did you guys overcome this real massive roadblock, I'd say?
Well, with some of the franchisees, we basically just said, like, listen, it's obviously not working out for you, through circumstances. Maybe not through your fault. But maybe it's time to sell your franchise. Maybe it's time to shut it down, and we'll take it back, and then we'll resell it. If you can find a buyer, we're happy to work with you. But it was and that's how we went back to 12, and because people just quit. And there was nothing really wrong with it, because we replaced them with some really good people that refreshed energy. When somebody is really tired of COVID or in any business, and business is hard, you can see it in shops around anywhere where the customer service is not what it was before COVID, where the business owner is just tired. Time to move on. There's nothing wrong with it. Don't be embarrassed. Just give them a golden bridge, what we call it, a golden out, and say,
a fresh look,
move on. A fresh look,
a fresh person coming on.
Yeah.
Some really difficult challenges, I would say, because you were print, and now people not really reading print, but that's actually not true, because people are still reading coffee news while they wait. They could be on their phone, but they also are interested in what's going on.
I think the biggest trend is, and stats don't back me up on this. If you listen, if you hear or see the stats on like people spending more and more time on their devices, yes, that might be true. I went off Facebook for about 2 years. It was the best 2 years of my life. It was, to go back to basics. My head wasn't cluttered. So now when I got my phone, I'm back on Facebook now. Sometimes I regret it. Sometimes I think it's a real distraction. So in the morning, I read my newspapers. But actually then, apart from emails coming in, I did everything that I wanted to do on my phone. I don't have Candy Crush on my phone anymore. All the games are banned on my phone, because I really found that it affected me. And so I think there's a lot of people now, yes, they got their phone, and either they are just zombies scrolling on their phone, and I can't stop that. They're either zombies on their phone the whole day, I need to read this, or they actually put it down for a second. Oh, there's coffee news. And they pick up a coffee news. They might read the trivia. They might only read the jokes. They might only read the horoscopes. But we know that they're doing it that way. So it's, and that's been the most positive thing about it, to be honest. Yeah,
and it's been quite a rewarding work for you. Can you walk us through some of the franchising insights? So if someone here, like listening, watching, thinking, I have some money to invest, what is my ROI on going into being a franchisee for Coffee News? What would I get out of it, and what would it cost me to get it in?
Yeah, so I've been selling businesses for a long time, and buying a franchise can be very expensive. You're buying like a Subway or a coffee club or whatever. It doesn't have to be hospitality, but you're buying a business, a franchise system. It costs you $300,000. Now we offer, so we offer for $8,000. We offer 3 months no franchise fee. So you can start. We don't charge for 3 months for a design fee. So just go out hard, and we want you to make money. We give you 80 stands. So it's not like we're
80
stands, display stands. Yes, yeah. And so it's not like, oh, you're buying the franchise now for $8,000. Now you got to buy this and you got to buy that as well. And you got to buy adding this, for example, with a lot of the...
So there's a pretty low start fee. The only thing is that you have to pay $8,000
yeah,
to...
$8,000. When everything... And we do take deposits and start people in if they're the right fit. So we do say to people like, hey, why don't you put a deposit on for $2,000 and you pay the rest over 24 months? But if you pay everything up front, the benefit is whether you're in Invercargill, whether you're in Queenstown, whether you are in Christchurch or in Northland, I will actually come and help you set up for a day and a half, 2 days, and just really go over, rather than telling you how easy it is. I will show you.
But people still have to pay money for maintenance fees. Is it, or is it called?
Yeah, so it's weekly fees.
Yeah.
So to help you for the first 3 months, we won't charge that. So in month 4, you're going to start. Yeah.
So someone has just deposited $8,000, being given stands. Like, how does it work really? Like, what do they need to go and get? The advertising, the content, how does it work? So
they really, all they have to do is selling the advertisement. So you send emails, you go and visit people at businesses, and they say, we're going to start coffee news in this area. Do you want to support us? It's obviously a little bit more. We got scripts and all that for as well. But then really as simple as it is, like when you have 5 or 6 advertisers, you break even. And you can start printing, and we do the layout for you.
And how many advertising can you get per sheet?
There's about 32 advertisement spots.
32, but
yeah.
Okay, so
but the good thing, for example, is me being a business broker. I have 2 ads for myself because I got the space, and then 1 ad is also for an AI Harcourts for our commercial team, and they pay full price for
because you work for.
Yeah, NAI Harcourts.
Yeah,
it's like a business brokerage. We're nationwide, but it's our office is paying for a full for that ad as well, so you get that support too.
That's great. So they have paid your deposit. They've got the swing of things. They're in a new area. So the gist is there that if someone is interested, they can start start supplying coffee news to an area in New Zealand that doesn't have coffee news already. What are some of the areas that you think there's a huge potential in New Zealand that doesn't have coffee news yet?
If I was a real estate agent starting in, for example, Gisborne, Taupo, like after the 7 Sharp edition on TV, we had 4 or 5 people in Taupo that said, oh, we haven't had it for a long time. Where can I get a copy? Even cafes, hey, can we stock it? No, you can't, because there is no publisher. But in towns like that, if I were a real estate agent or a business broker, or in that a business that I would feel that I want to sell to hospitality venues, for example, I would want to have a coffee news franchise, and I would start to build trust and build relationships in those areas, particularly in size in towns with the size of those Taupos and
like little towns.
Not little towns. Like, I mean, in Auckland, it works really well because there is scale, so there's a lot of businesses. So it's a numbers game. But also, we have been there since 2001. So it's
pretty saturated in Auckland, is it?
Yeah. Well, no, actually, we just we have now actually available Newmarket, Remuera, and we have available East Auckland, which is sort of like spanning from Howick down to Otara. And then we also have, the last area is Sylvia Park and Mission Bay, like that whole.
Some pretty profound and prominent spots.
Yeah,
I'm quite surprised that no one has taken up.
We were there, just due to circumstances.
No longer. Yeah, so it is available. Yeah. So who would suit to have a franchise business like that?
Like, I think really, like, real estate agents are good because they can take 1 day a week. And I mean, that's I think actually almost 100% now of people that run a franchise. They only work it 1 day a week once it's all set up. So not when you have to look for advertisers and when you have to setting up your whole distribution run. Yeah. But once it's set up, it's 1 day a week. You should earn about like anywhere between $500 and $700 for that 1 day.
For one day.
And yeah, so it offsets those roller coaster rides in real estate. So that's really what what I loved about it.
Yeah.
So it's
So the people who would really suit our real estate. So, okay, so we've got some areas in Auckland. There's lots of opportunities around the country, and people are reading this. People are interested in this. What do you think has really had an amazing change, benefit to the community? Like, what has Coffee News really done for our community?
If you read our testimonial page on the website, it's predominantly talking about like what they like. I love the competition. I love the trivia. I love the horoscopes. Oh, when I go, I read this first and then that and then that. And it's always about this positive, how much they love reading the Coffee News. And
It's quite light-hearted, isn't it?
It's light-hearted.
It's got really funny jokes. May I read the one on
Go
here?
for it.
So there's a quotable quotes section. This quote here is, the action is best which procures the greatest happiness for the greatest numbers. Don't know if I understand that.
Yeah, there is easier ones.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the other one. If we could be twice young and twice old, we could correct all our mistakes. And that's really inspiring.
Who said
I can't say that. I can't say his name. It's Euripides. Euripides.
He must be one of those Greek gods, and it wasn't
So
me.
it's quite a lighthearted sort of addition. How many more franchisees are you interested to have?
I think we can get up to 30 this year. I think we can get up to 40 maximum in New Zealand, and that's about demographics and how many people are in one area and how many businesses are there to actually sell advertising.
Yeah.
To. I think around 30, 35 should be achievable.
And when it comes to content, the content is all like made by you, or do you get them from somewhere else?
No, we get it supplied from America. So we get the middle bit and supplied from them. We have to translate that from US English to the Kiwi English, which sometimes is quite a challenge for me because English is not my first language. But then, for example, if there is questions about, or in the trivia, when there's questions about like American football, like Tom Brady, not everybody knows Tom Brady. I think they might know Tom Brady, but they don't know American football rules and all that. Yeah. So we actually changed that question to like a rugby question, Richie McCaw question, or something like that.
Something a bit more relatable for Kiwis in New Zealand.
More yes, yeah. But those are the two parts you can make relatable is the what's happening, because it's less like a community sort of stuff.
It's amazing because what kind of feedback do you receive from your readers? Like, how does it influence your content, or does it not change?
It doesn't. It doesn't. We don't want, like some people say to us, like, why don't you have more local content? And for us, the reason is real simple. New Zealand is so small. If you go into use local stories, half the country already heard about those stories. Yeah. If they are newsworthy in a publication and now you have to publish and find these stories every week locally. Yeah. It would that's why we pay the franchise fee. And that's, that, and the content works. But we don't want to compete with the local, because we are the fun publication, positive publication. There's no need to compete with the local market, if you like.
Because cafes don't have to pay you to have it on their...
No, they get a free stand.
Or like any location that is suitable for this, it's actually free.
Yeah.
So it's a good deal for them because it kind of entertains their patrons, isn't it?
Yeah, and it shows them also that it shows the people that your business supports local businesses. Because essentially, it's not, if you turn it around, it's not actually advertising. These people who are putting money for advertising for the Coffee News, they actually are the ones that sponsor that content and make it available for free in the area.
That's right. So it's actually one of the biggest benefits is having local businesses being supported through this mechanism. Yeah. And how... Bit of a challenging one. Environmentally, people will argue and say paper is not good for the environment anymore. Yeah. Well, it's never been good for the environment, but it's even more profound. How do you guys deal with that?
So our paper is all like that sustainable quotations and all that. Like that's all verified. In the past, we have looked at getting cheaper paper because paper is getting more expensive. Printing is getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And those are the parts that it's out of our control. And that's why the advertising rates will have to go up eventually. However, we don't want to go to China to source paper because we can't consciously, you can't actually feel good about if you don't know whether your paper is made from sustainable materials, if it's recyclable.
So you source your paper in New Zealand?
No, actually, so the Lapwing Brown comes from overseas. I think it's Canada.
Oh, okay.
But it's not we are the only ones that can actually get that paper, and we're very proud of. So we get it from Spicers, which is a paper supplier. They stock it for us, and we got a good contract, and saying nobody else can buy that paper.
So the type of paper is environmentally friendly, or the way it's made.
Yeah, it's recyclable, and it has all those. I don't know.
All the ticks.
Call them. All the ticks. Yeah.
What's the future plans for Coffee News? Where do you see it going?
We really want to. We're going to stay with paper. We're not going to go online. We're not going to go and try and be what we're not.
Quite defiant, are you?
Oh, absolutely. I always to be honest, I rather get rid of the whole online thing because we don't get much traction. If you have the SEO, something that changes every week, it's really hard to put a SEO behind it. We don't get an awful lot of traffic with our QR codes to our online editions. It's beneficial for some people, and we say like, hey, we can't send you a copy, but here's the online. But we actually want to be in your face, top of mind marketing, something that nobody else does. Want to be the only one that's left over.
You are probably the only one, are you?
And
aside from the newspapers.
No, there are some local magazines that try to do what we do. Some of them last, some of them don't. But we know
you're still here.
We're still here, and that's not going to change.
No. And are there any new sort of projects or expansions on the horizon for you guys? Like, do you?
No, we are now working towards that 30 franchise mark. That's really what we want to achieve before the end of the financial year. So by 31st of March, we want to have 30 franchises. That's our biggest push. And I think it's, it will, if we have 30, we are more known around the country. It will be better for our current franchisees. It will be better for the brand. And that will also leverage us to make some sponsor deals. For example, we're talking now to News Talks at B, not News Talks at B, the Edge that we did a cameo on, and that worked really, really well. And they're going to advertise with us. And that's what you get when you build your brand bigger. It opens doors.
Absolutely. Yeah. I do want to open another door into the life of Rudy Kokx, find out who you are as a person. People have described you in the past as someone who's quite a positive person, someone who, what you see is what you get, and a connector, a community builder, and you've got a lot of strengths on the table. Like you started out in New Zealand, you've been in this country for how long?
20 years.
20 years.
2021, yeah.
A bit of a journey have you had so far, haven't you? Like you've had...
It was some people call it a journey. I just call it life.
Just life.
Life happens while you're making plans.
Can you take us back a little bit there and what happened when you landed? Did you just have a job to do, or did you get into business straight away, or what was going on? What was going through your mind in Kiwi land at the time?
Somebody told me go to Bay of Islands, and that's where I went. That's where I went. That's where I went, and I stayed there for about like 6 months, something like that.
Oh, great!
And then I started traveling, got a job in Auckland, in a hostel, and met lots of people. Great journey. Then I started traveling, and my car broke down in the South Island, and
as you do.
But then I got that door-to-door sales job. What was I doing? I was doing some carpentry work or whatever. And I read this thing in the paper saying, looking for positive people. And I answered the ad, and I got an interview, and it was weird because door-to-door sales, like I said, it's not something that you wake up in the morning and go like, today I'm going to become a door-to-door salesperson. So yeah.
But you got excited about the job, and you started doing door-to-door sales.
I wasn't excited about the job. It was just like I could make money of it, and I knew.
Yeah.
And
what did you sell?
Toys, gift. Like, that we had those singing toys that you just And they would start singing, and we would just go to people's businesses. And when I got here, like I learned English in Ireland in a place called Dingle, which is a Gaeltacht, what they call it. And their schools, they educate their kids in Gaelic, not in English. So when I learned English, I started to pronounce things how they did. And I came here with a really, really strong Irish accent. I can't for the life of me do an Irish accent now. Not even
you kind of do it a little bit. But
I can't put one on. Like it's really weird if I do it, or if I try it. But there was something in that door-to-door sales that people wanted to listen to you and to your accent. They didn't actually care about what you were selling.
Wow! So that was So your accent and your background was a real asset to you at the time.
At the time, it was, and I milked it. Like I would go into there was a business in West Auckland, and I would go in there with my bag, and it was sort of like the second or third time in that week that we got there, and they were still excited. They were like, "Hey guys, come here! Irish is here! Irish is here!" And I'm like, "Okay, didn't expect that." But that's how I was known. Like I was Irish selling stuff.
So how long did that go for? You sold things, and what happened in your career journey?
Well, what I found is like I was actually pretty good in teaching people how to sell. And our mantra in the day was, if you buy someone a fish, they eat for a day. And if you teach them how to fish, they can eat for life.
For life.
And that's really like it was one of those companies where we would hurrah everything. Every time you came, you made $150, you would smash the gong and you would dance and you would clap. And some people just walked out of there at 5 o'clock and thinking like, man, that's like a cult. And we were like, we were proud of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And we were bragging about it, like, oh, today I made $200. Hey, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And it was a really motivating environment. I was a bit older, so I was about like 24, 25 at that time. And most of them were like 18. And I realized like, actually, when I'm that little bit older, I can be a bit of a leader in this. And so I started to build a team, and I had 20 people.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and that was sort of like I learned so much.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you must have learned a lot of business skills at the time. Like that was like such a honing skill sort of experience.
That was the real foundation, and still of what I do currently. Because it's I still have to talk to people I don't know, and our parents often say, "Don't talk to them. Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to strangers." And it's in your head, it becomes sort of like a real thing in the mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm always open. I always give. And I'm way too forgiving. Like I trust people, and that's also my biggest weakness, my biggest asset, but also my biggest weakness. I give people second chances, and if they screw me over, I'm getting really upset. But if we can just have that relationship that we both respect each other in whatever we do, whatever we try to achieve, if it's a journey or if it's the end journey, that's fine too. But let's keep that respect and just make sure that there's a line there.
If you would say, like, if you were trying to like inspire somebody who wants to become an entrepreneur, that could be something that they need to have as a skill.
If I could quote, if you talk about quotable quotes, if I would have 2 quotes, I would say, and that's what I use for door-to-door sales. If you want what you never had, you have to do what you never did. And I don't know who said it, but it's a bloody good saying.
I love that saying.
Yeah. The other one is, the person on top of the mountain didn't fall there. We all have a journey, and we all really, we all, however hard that journey is, we have to realize like, man, it's going to be harder. The top of the mountain is still not there, and you can't fall there. You gotta.
How far away are you on the journey?
To be honest, I never focus on that at all.
Where you are.
I don't want you or anybody else to see me as like, oh, he is so good or he's on top. As long as I can answer myself, for me, it's not about money. Never about money. It's about passion and about helping people. And if people think I'm unsuccessful in that, then let them think that. I really couldn't care less, because for me, I know my lifestyle. I know what I have achieved with my with the work-life balance. Some people would call me lazy because I pride myself in not working 24 hours a day. And if people therefore think you're lazy, they don't think that way. That's absolutely fine. But I don't need to make millions. I don't need to make hundreds of thousands of dollars to be successful. For me, that's not success. Success is helping people and being passionate about what you do and achieve what you want to achieve, and that's it.
So what happened after your door-to-door sale job? Can you just walk us through briefly the timeline of your...
Well, when you're in door-to-door sales, you're getting so many job offers because people realize that you have something that their staff don't have, and that is tenacity and actually a go-get mentality. You get so many job offers. A lot of us would end up in copy sales, or they end up with mobile phone companies.
Where did you end up?
Mobile phones.
Mobile phones.
I found it really hard. I was selling toys and giftware, for God's sake.
And what were you selling after that?
Mobile phones.
You were selling door-to-door mobile phones?
Not door-to-door. No, it was business to business.
In an office?
In an office space, business to business. I would choose to go out and actually door knock and talk to people, but I found it really hard because I'm not a technical person. I don't like cars. I don't like phones. I don't like anything technical. I don't like computers or anything. But and now you had to work with a Nokia N95, and that changed to a BlueBerry, BlackBerry, whatever.
Too much to
it was.
catch up on.
I couldn't process that, so I did it for 3 years, and I realized that I just did not want to be employed. I just didn't want to be employed. I had to be self-employed. Luckily, in New Zealand, it's really easy to start a business. It's not hard at all. Compared to where I come from in Holland, it's actually, there's a lot of barriers. There's a lot of compliance. Here is the easiest, I would say the easiest country to set up your own business. So one day my son had chickenpox, and I had to ask my boss, walk into an office and ask my boss, can I please have 10 days off because my kid is sick. He needs to be in quarantine for 10 days because he has chickenpox. And I absolutely hated it. And I said to myself, like, okay, Rudy, you're going to have 10 days. In the next 10 days, you're going to build a business. You come up with a concept, whatever it is, you're going to come up with a concept. And so after 10 days, I didn't start straight away, but I had the whole concept drawn out, and I was doing errands. And it was just basically just, you say jump, I ask how high.
How did you start?
I went door to door, and I just started selling my time in blocks of 8 hours. And this was my pitch, literally. I said to people, listen, it was 2009 and people were laying people off because it was recession. And so stopping your job, like quitting your job in a recession was not something you just think of it. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. My wife also didn't think that. And it was pretty hard for a while. But basically my pitch was like, hey, you're probably laying people off because it's a recession and staff is expensive. I actually sell my time in blocks of 8 hours.
How did it go? Like what?
I would just say I would just actually funny enough after I think one of the first weeks already, this one guy, he said to me like, hey Rudy, every Tuesday we're meeting up with about like 20 like-minded business people, and do you want to come along? It's like 7 a.m. I'm like, from the North Shore to Mount Eden. That's a bit of
that's even worse.
7 a.m.
Yeah,
not really used to it. But he introduced me to BNI. Some people know BNI. It's a networking group, and they're all around.
So you basically, that's how you met your clients.
That's how I started. And that first meeting, I walked away with about like $600 worth of hours sold. I'm like, well, this is pretty cool. Not realizing that I also had to actually work those hours. So it was sort of like, okay. So there was a bit of a challenge.
The excitement comes, and then the truth comes after.
Yeah, the truth. Yeah, really sinking really hard. But it was, it was such a tough time, and
Why was it tough?
Because now I had to chase business, and I didn't have a product. I had to sell myself first. I sold all the hours, but if you sell something, you also have to work them. And that was sort of like a hard thing to do. Luckily, though, there was this one company who said to me, Rudy, we're going to move into a bigger premise with another business. Can you help us shift? And that was also through the BNI. And I'm like, yeah, okay, no worries. So I did some of the moving stuff, but they also had files. Now, back in the day, it wasn't all on the phone. It was actually files, paper files. And so we dragged all those files in, and I just started filing for them. And I did it for about like a day and a half, 2 days. And and I built some rapport with the other business that was in there, which was a business broking business, and ended up doing a lot of different jobs for them, changing light bulbs, painting walls, taking stuff to the dump, and just dump runs, do some courier jobs and all that kind of carry on. And one day I said to the owner, I said, like, man, like your business brokers, they're sitting in an office just waiting for a phone call. Can you please sell my business? I come from a business where I would approach people. So I found out, you don't wait for business, you actually go get your business. Mm-hmm. And so I said to him, like, so can I do some lead generation for you? So basically, there's a piece of paper, I'll give you turnover. I knock on every single door of the business door, and I ask him, like, hey, in the last 18 months, have you thought about selling your business, or are you are you thinking about selling your business in the next 2 years? And if they say, yeah, maybe things are tough and all that kind of carry on, I would say, okay, so I work with this and this company. I'm not a broker, but I'm just doing lead generation. If I can get your turnover and how much staff you have, if you want to share how much profit you make, that will be helpful, but you don't have to. Just tick this box, and then a business broker will contact you and give you an appraisal for your business and see how much you can sell it for in an open market. Ah, yeah. And so the owner says, the big boss, the CEO says, well, how much do you want for a lead? And I'm like, well, let's start high. If I start really high, I can always come down. I said, $60. And he's like, oh yeah, so when can you start? I'm like, tomorrow. And I started. Wow. And for the next sort of like 3 or 4 months, I worked 15 hours a week, and I earned about $900 per week on just getting leads. And I fed them
whether or not the lead become business.
But
you still got paid.
I would still get a bonus if they would sell the business. I would still get a bonus on top of it. So that was a good arrangement. But then, like, after about 3 months, he said, Rudy, you obviously can get leads, and that's really what it's about in business sales. So why don't you become a business broker? I'm like, well, that's really cool. Now, and this was the thing, like, when I was taking all the stuff to the dump, there was a lot of like lists with how much commissions they had made. So I saw some confidential information there, and it was like, wow, these people make good money. And I never seen my dad earning more than sort of like 40, 50 grand a year. So for me, it was like, you can make this much. Like, it was pretty amazing. And I want to get in there. I want a piece of the pie. That's how I got
became
motivated. Yeah, that motivated me. Yeah.
Yeah. And then next minute, you're an NI hardcourse.
Well, I sold with that previous company. I sold for about 2012 almost till COVID, and then I was with another small company. There was a couple of things, on a small company, but then I took actually a break with COVID. When COVID hit, I missed out on $90,000 worth of commission, because I had 2 contracts, good contracts, both over $1 million, and they both fell through the week that we shut down the country, and that really was a kick in the teeth, and that just I couldn't get motivated, and I was just doing whatever I needed to do, and then Coffee News also came on the
bus
on the scene, so jump on that bus.
Happy times.
Yeah, that was good.
But you've bounced back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I never felt that we did anything wrong. It was the same thing with errands. One of the drivers why or motivators why I wanted to have an errands business was because I thought, if I don't know what I want, and I'm looking for something, if I do different things every day, then something will come on your path that you will like, and that happened to be business sales.
I love that. I love how you think. That is such a valuable lesson for a business owner and entrepreneur that I agree with as well, because you just have to go and do something. You just have to keep moving and try this, try that, do this, do that, and something will come through. Yeah, what
was the Dale Beaumont has a saying in it, perfection is, or there was something about.
Is it you get paid for what you implement? No, that's maybe another one.
No, it was something about moving forward is better than perfection.
Yeah.
And it is about little movements. It doesn't matter how.
Yeah.
As long as you go forward, as long as you don't go backwards.
Yeah. As long as you don't stop.
Yeah.
Because the ship that stops, it's not going to get to a destination. But at least if it's moving, even though it might go into a different destination or off track, it can still steer back into its own, future destination.
Yeah, but also don't be afraid to realize when you do need to stop and actually reflect.
Yes, I agree.
And look at your systems and
for good reasons to stop.
Yeah, to pause. Say pause.
Pause.
Don't stop.
Yeah, pause. Oh, let someone else drive and then you pause.
Yeah.
So it's amazing how this story is beautiful, and it's so encouraging to hear, because nowadays people want things to be done for them and want it easy, don't they? And some people are not willing to go the extra mile, and
they don't want
go-getters. So a great example of a go-getter is someone like yourself who has gone in and done door knocking, which is really difficult and to some extent challenging as well, depending on where you're in the country. But yeah, that's amazing. And so I appreciate you for sharing the reality of business and how you got into, obviously later you bought Coffee News, and we have been enjoying our little coffee mugs. I quite like it. It's got a nice little feel.
It's actually from a painting that's hanging on my wall. It's my goal sheet. So you got the Coffee News on the boat, and you got the Haarkoorts what I work for.
Yeah.
And then you got the number plate is I think, and it's kids. My kids are playing in the surf with my dog.
It's lovely. Yeah. So, Rudy, what sort of advice you would give to upcoming entrepreneurs? Someone who's maybe 24, 25, who is really stuck, don't want to be at their job, want to start out and get out. What are some of the steps that you would recommend for them to take to...
Again, like those quotes that I said about the person on top of the mountain doesn't fall there, and it's something you got to realize. And it's always hard to knock the younger generation. It's it's also not fair for us to say they're lazy.
Not only the younger generation, even the older generation sometimes can be a bit more like a too laid back.
Look at it this way: in your whole life, whether you are. You all think of moments, maybe when you haven't recognized it yet when you're young, under 25, whatever it is. But in life, there is always 3, maybe 4 moments that can define the rest of your life. And if you're going to say no to everything and you're very risk adverse, you're going to miss any of those 3 or 4 points in life. So for me, there was a point that I made a choice to go to New Zealand and then stay here. There was a point where I made a choice to say, I'm going to start my own business. And starting is the most important part. And there was a time that I had I think when we bought Coffee News, I literally had $200 in the bank. We had some equity in the house. But it was one of those times where if I hadn't jumped on that opportunity then, I would have missed that boat again. And now finally we bought a house, we got the business, used the house as collateral, so it's obviously mortgaged. But those times, don't miss that bus and just do it. Don't waver. Don't think too long about it. If it feels good, and jump 2 feet in, but give it your all, and don't give up. Tenacity, just never stop. If you stop, make it a pause, not a stop.
That is pretty wise words from you, Rudy. Thank you so much. We do have a little free gift for our listeners and our viewers, a guide, a sheet on how you can sell your business if you are thinking about it.
It's basically 12 pointers.
Yeah. By the way, you can get this in the link in the description.
Yeah.
If you are looking at getting an idea of if you've got a business and you want to sell it, Rudy has developed a compilation, like a guide. Maybe if just to briefly explain what it is.
Yes, it's basically 12 points with my take on what is important in a business sale, and it covers, for example, why you shouldn't price your business too high. You're going to alienate the market. About the valuation, about look at it from the buyer's point of view, not just from your point of view. And I want so much money, but actually look at how a buyer would view your business. And there's just some really good pointers in there. That
can you give us maybe 3 top points? Maybe give us just 3 top points about how what would you keep in mind when you are trying to sell your business?
Don't price too high. It's a complicated, not really complicated, but it is a we work with multiple of earnings, and you can go, my business is earning $100,000. I want $300,000. Now, don't go too high, because there might be somebody in there that actually says, man, I really want to buy that business. If that business comes for sale, I want to buy it. But if they can't buy it based on your valuation, they're not you lose them, and you can't get them back, because now they think you're greedy. Oh, but hey, no, if you want to buy it, I haven't sold it for 12 months now, but now you can have it for $200,000. All of a sudden they think like, well, I'm not going to buy that one, because the impulse is gone. And that's one of the most important parts. The other thing is we look at our businesses with real pink glasses, and our business is better than the rest sees us, than a buyer would see you. And they will pinpoint those negatives in your business very, very quickly if you ask the right feedback. Unfortunately, Kiwis are not the best people to give you honest feedback. They often say the English are too polite to be honest. So the English are too polite to be honest, and the Dutch, we are too honest to be polite. And it's really that way. Like, but if I don't tell you what's wrong with your business, then you got no chance to actually improve. So for me, it's really important that we are as open as possible, and we point out. And you don't want to hear this, but we will point out the flaws in your business pretty quickly once we see it. And please take that on board. Don't just sit there with your pink glasses, head in the sand, and thinking that your business is going to be worth $1 million when actually, in actual fact, it's worth maybe $300,000 or $200,000. So that's
And what's the third point?
Third point, good one. COVID has changed a lot of stuff, and when we work with all our data, often that data comes from pre-COVID. Now, and I get caught out sometimes as well. Actually, currently, where we thought, hey, the sales data says this should be sold for XYZ, for $500,000. Well, actually, the market says it's only worth about like $150,000, $200,000, because we work with all data, and COVID has impacted. So if you're on the market for a long time, review. Don't just go like, oh, but I'm still going to bank on the highest price. The reality is it's probably not going to happen if you're in the market for a long time. So you have to review, and you have to look at offers rather than your asking price.
Some wise words. There's so much more in the handout that we've provided for our listeners and our audience. So if you do want to grab a copy, click the link in the description, and you will be able to have access to that. Final thoughts on your favorite section of the coffee news and why?
My favorite one is the lighter side. It's just like the dad jokes. They're lame. They're cool. And I laugh about it, and I tell them to my kids, and then my kids are like, "Oh my god, yeah, really?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a good one, eh?"
That's a good one to learn about it.
Yeah.
And you also have, I don't know if you have a journal, but because our podcast called Notes from the Executive, if I had to open up your journal and have a read, what would it say for today?
What do you mean by what would it say?
Just a journal. Like if you have notes for your life or for your business, if you keep track of writing things for yourself, like things that you've learned or what happened today, or obviously what we've discussed is all these things are notes, but in your head. maybe not written down. Maybe they are written down. If I do open up your journal today, what would I find?
That this is your shop front. So be positive. Nobody cares. Like, you can go and sell widgets, or you can sell a service, and you can not give good customer service because you had an issue at home, or you had an issue with your kids or with your husband or wife. It's really important to realize that nobody actually gives a shit about how your day is going. This is your shop front. Nobody wants to buy from a grumpy person. So keep that smile on your face. And sometimes you got to fake it till you make it. But you will get there, and you got to keep being positive about it and thinking about, like, how am I going to get there? What's the next push? What is the next? Keep moving forward. That's what you will find in my journal.
Rudy Kokx, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Oh, cool, same.